Good evening, everyone. It is Joe here from Snake Draft FPL. How are we all doing? I am doing mighty fine. Could you let me know in the chat if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay? It looks like, checking my stats, it looks like everything is okay. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it is all good to go. I have been smashing out the waivers today. I've spent probably about an hour going through all my teams, checking my lineups, picking waiver orders for the morning. So I am fully locked in the FPL draft zone. My mic's not on mute. No, looks good. All good in the chat. Lovely. That's what we like to hear. Thank you all for joining me this evening. I hope to be as informative as I can. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. First things first, I'm just going to answer a few quick questions from the chat. Then I'm going to go over to the waiver video and go through all the comments. It looks like we've got 46 comments on there at the moment with asking for advice. So there's plenty of content to get through. So there was someone posted a comment in the live stream chat about 2 hours ago, and I said I'd cover it, but thanks to the great YouTube comment system, it has disappeared. So whoever that was, if you're in the stream, feel free to repost it, because as I said, I can't get it back, which is annoying. So let's start from the top. Would you waiver out DCL for Che Adams? That is a tough one. It all depends on your team. If you have no other injuries, I could understand hiding DCL on the back of your bench. If you have bad fixtures this week and you need a player, then I think it's not a bad shout to bring in Che. Obviously, United at home is not the worst fixture. It's not the best. So yeah, I like the pickup. Che Adams is a fine pickup. I think he gets to start from now on. But yeah, DCL, if you can hide him, I would. Also, I would definitely take Aronson over Aribo. I think Aronson looks like a good pickup, and I'd take him over Gray as well. Currently, I have cash in my team. Players like Matip, Delot, and Target are available. Who would you take from the four, and what do you think of each? Good question. I would definitely take Matip. I think Matip absolutely walks into the Liverpool team when he's back from injury, and as far as I'm aware, it looks like he's going to be back reasonably soon. So as long as you can afford to bench him, I'd take Matip. Other than that, I'd probably go, if Target's fit and looks like he's going to start, I'd take him. Then I'd probably pick Cash and Dalot. I think are kind of even. Gerrard has 3 wins from last 14 for like Villa looking weak. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. Matip, rotation risk. I think it's Matip's spot to lose, to be honest, though. I just cannot see him. They look so much worse without him. He's surely going to come back in. What else we got? Do I drop Watkins and bring in Jimenez? I would say no. As frustrating as Villa have been, I don't think it's worth. I think Ollie Watkins is probably the only Villa asset that I'd actually like to own at the moment. So I've just realised I've not turned my light round. That's a bit better. I'd keep Watkins. I think he's a far better pick than basically. Jimenez is great, but the Wolves' offence doesn't look great, does it? And is he really going to turn it around? I'm not convinced. So, I'd stick with Watkins. Holding Tomiyasu, yeah, Tomiyasu's a tough one. Should you continue to hold? I personally do not see him coming into the team until something drastic changes. I just think we're just looking good. Arsenal are looking good at the moment, and I don't think Arteta's going to change it. Now, the Europa League starts reasonably soon, so that could change things. We could lose a game or play poorly. That could change things. But for the time being, I just don't see him getting in. So if you can hide him, maybe hide him, but I don't think he's worth it. If you need a good fixture, I'd bring someone else in. Banter Boys, nice to see you in the stream. Thank you for joining me. Would you pick up Harrison over Eze? I would, yeah. I think Eze's good. I think he's really good. The fixtures are terrible though, and Harrison just looks absolutely on it. Leeds fixtures are pretty nice after this week as well, if I remember rightly. So yeah, well, even Brighton away this week's not horrendous. Then it's Everton, Brentford, Forest, United, Villa. So yeah, I'd definitely go for Harrison. I have Sterling and Havertz. Should I be worried? I'd like to say no, but I'd be slightly worried. I have Sterling and I'm a bit worried. Having both is a bit too much jeopardy for me. Maybe try and bin one off in a trade, because both is scary, because if Chelsea don't perform, that's a massive part of your team, right, that aren't performing. Held DCL all season last year, patiently waiting, not worth it. Yeah, there's a guy in our league that had him for literally half the season, then he made it a trade, got rid of him, then the other guy held him for half a season. So yeah, it is a tough one. Jimenez or Firmino? Jimenez for me. I think Firmino's just I don't think he's. I think once Darwin back and Jota's back, he just doesn't play anymore, in my opinion. How will the Isaac signing affect Wilson? Good question, Corn. I don't know if it will affect him much. I think he's kind of Eddie Howe's guy, and I don't see that changing really. Obviously, he comes in when he's injured, but that doesn't affect Wilson really, because that could do anything. I think it more affects Almiron, because I can see Isaac playing on the right and Wilson through the middle when they're both fit. So I think Almiron might be the one that suffers, to be honest. Did you used to do other stuff on YouTube? I recognise your face. No, I've never done anything else on YouTube. But people at work always say I have a very like common face. So maybe that's why. Rather Maddison or Bruno? For me, it's Bruno. I made a trade today. You'll be all pleased to hear. I took Bruno. The trade was I received Bruno, Ramsdale and Webster for my Lloris, Gabriel and Maddison. I like Maddison. I think he's a great player. I do think he's overperformed massively. I think Leicester are shocking. I don't really want to have the only attacking asset in a really poor team. I mean, look, you can argue that, yes, okay, you can have a good fantasy asset in a bad team, but someone like Maddison, who I picked up in the third round, someone of that high value, I'm not too keen on keeping someone that's... The club's in turmoil at the moment, right? So, yeah. And Bruno, I think, he's not got an attacking return yet, and by all accounts, he should have. So I think they're coming. I think as long as Ronaldo's not playing, which I don't think he will, I think he's going to be a decent pick. Drop Doherty for someone like Veltman or Hickey. Yeah, I think Doherty's done. I think there's a couple of questions about him that we'll get to when I go through the comments on the waiver video, but I'm not keen. I just think if he would have started, if he was going to start, he would have started by now. He's going to be the second choice, and okay, that might mean he gets the Premier League games and doesn't play in the Champions League, but seeing Tottenham's Champions League draw today, they've got a pretty easy draw, so I just don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna play in the Champions League if he plays at all. I don't think he's gonna play much in the Prem. It just doesn't seem like he would have played by now. Surely, I mean, Perisic has started. He can't be much less fit than Perisic. So yeah, I'd been probably Veltman over Hickey. Would you hold Fofana? Yeah, probably. Just you've only got to wait one or two more weeks, and then you know what happens with Fofana. So if you can hold him, I would. Jimenez over Solanke? Yeah, I think so. Would you hold Skamaka over Che Adams? Skamaka's a bit of a funny one because I would have expected him to come in by now. But David Moyes does integrate his signing slowly, so maybe wait a little bit. Che, the problem with Che is I think he's Southampton's best forward by a mile, but Ralph seems to just do crazy stuff all the time and no one can really guess what he's doing. So I think, yeah, Che's, I mean, who knows? He should start every game, I think, but he doesn't seem to. So, would you transfer in Webster over Matip for Chilwell or Romero? Ooh. I think Do we know much more about Romero yet? Do we know when he's back? Let me have a little look. Because it seems I have Romero in 2 leagues, and it's frustrating me. I'm not really one to hold injured players for too long. Checked him. Honestly, the player wanted to play against Chelsea, didn't take the risk. Okay, so he should be back soon. So I'd probably hold Romero. Chilwell I'd definitely hold. But Matip is a good option, but you can't have Matip, Chilwell and Romero. So I'd probably hold with what you got, I think. McAllister over Andreas Pereira. Ooh, for this week, yes. But in general, probably Pereira just. If the fixtures are equal, I'd probably say Pereira just. Obviously, McAllister has the pens, but he is playing quite deep at the moment. Webster over Estupiñán. I don't think Estupiñán's going to start anytime soon. I think the system looks really good with Trossard in that kind of left wing back, pushing on to left forward. Brighton seem like they know it so well, and Estupiñán is not going to be doing that same role that Trossard does. Obviously, when he came on, Trossard then went up front against West Ham, or as like a second forward against West Ham, and I don't see that happening from the start. I just don't think he's going to start yet. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think it'll be a few weeks before he starts. Top 3 sell high. Top 3 sell highs. I'd say Maddison. I've just sold him 3 returns out of 3. I think his XGI is like 0.7 or something. He's got 3 returns out of it. Yeah, okay, stats, whatever. But I think he's overperformed massively. So he would be 1. Sell highs. I can't off the top of my head. That's the one that jumps out at me just because I did it today. Let me just have a look. The best way to find the sell highs, I find, is to just go on total points. I mean, Rodrigo's top of the total points. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad option, but if you can get a real player for him, then it's definitely a sell high, because he's not going to carry on with what he's doing at the moment. So if you can get a second round pick out of Rodrigo, I think you do it. Any other sell highs? I don't think there's many that stand out to me at the moment, to be honest. Maybe there's not many that are screaming out. It's been a very strange start to the season. The only players with like real form seem to be the Leeds mids. Everyone else has been kind of up and down. Obviously, City look great and Arsenal look great, but maybe Martinelli might be a sell high. If you can get a proper player for him, then Martinelli might be a real sell high. How high priority should be for Fofana on the waiver wire? 12-man league. Dunk, Martinez, Malacia, Botman, Doherty. I would say Dunk I would have ahead of Fofana, I think. Probably Botman as well. Then Fofana, then the rest. Harrison maybe for Gundogan. Yeah, Harrison could be a sell high. I mean, the thing with Harrison is that his stats are pretty good, and he's probably overperformed a little bit, but he is creating a shed load of chances, which does make me think there is something there. But yeah, Gundogan is a player I don't own him in a single league, and I wish I did. Out of the 80 players I have, I've been sending out trade offers for him in a few different leagues, but can't get my hands on him yet. Wissa or Andreas Pereira? I'd say Andreas Pereira, I think. Just a little bit more integral to what they do. Should I drop Elise to pick up Bernardo Silva in waivers? Yes. Bernardo Silva is someone that I think is kind of going under the radar. Like, he's not going to Barca, and he is a good pick. Like, he just is. He's so talented. I think he's someone that people do overlook, actually. So yeah, I'd pick up Bilva in that situation. Jensen or Wissa? I mean, Jensen's got the points, but that doesn't always mean he's the better pick. I would. The Brentford midfield's tough because it looks like Damsgaard's going to come in at some point, and someone's got to drop out. And De Silva's playing well, Jensen's playing well. We don't really know who it's going to be. And Wissa doesn't play when they go to the 3-5-2, really, so that's quite a tough one. Is it worth getting Martial even if he starts? He's never been brilliant. He's had that brilliant season. He had that one season where he got like 20 non-penalty goals. in Ollie's season where they finished second. If he can get back to that, I think he's a great option. But it is a bit of a gamble. But I'm quite high on Martial. Will bin Doherty. Any thoughts on Gallagher to Xhaka, Wissa, Andreas, Souček? Yeah, I'd go Souček. There's a couple of questions about Souček. People getting frustrated with him. I'm actually looking to pick him up, to be honest. I've got Kyle Walker who's been playing every game, but feeling Pep's rotation, I'm worried. Laporte is going to be back in 1 to 2 weeks. Should I look to pick him up? Yeah, I think now is probably if Laporte is free, now is the time to get him, because if we wait a week and in press conferences Pep's saying he's ready to come back, you won't get another chance. So if you've got a spot for Laporte, now's the time to get him. I have Wilson and Bamford both seem like they're out. Should I drop either for Che Adams or Jimenez? I don't thought it's tough having both because they probably are both going to miss out. I'm assuming your third forward is a big gun that you don't want to drop. I would try and hide both of them on the bench if you can. If not, if you definitely think you need to drop one, I'd drop Bamford over Wilson. But definitely. But it's tough. Should I take Ronaldo out for Jimenez or someone else? I would seriously considering Waiver and Ronaldo. But I guess the tough thing is, ideally you'd want to wait another game week, because then you probably know what's gonna happen with him. But if you wait that other game week, Jimenez will probably go. So you kind of may well have to make a decision now. I'd wait as long as possible to see if you get any information. I mean, there was that link with Sporting Lisbon that came out today, and then like 2 hours later, apparently that's all rubbish. So I if you can, I'd hold at least another week just to wait and see. Cucurella for Neco Williams. I'd keep Cucurella for sure. Good pick. How do you feel about Aubameyang to Chelsea? As an Arsenal fan, doesn't sit right with me. Might pick him up if possible, as he'll walk into the Chelsea striker spot. He will, but I'm not. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care if he goes to Chelsea. From an Arsenal fan perspective, it doesn't bother me. We kind of binned him. It's not like he's betraying us. Like, we binned him. He could have stayed if we wanted him to. The one thing I will say is I do not think he suits Chelsea's system at all. Like, Lukaku's problem was that he wanted to run in behind. People think of Lukaku as a big hold-up striker, but that's not like what he is. He's at his best when he's spinning in behind the fences, and that was a big problem at Chelsea. So I just don't think that's why it didn't work, because they weren't looking to play him in behind ever, and he never got any service. Aubameyang is exactly the same. I mean, he plays in the left half space instead of the right, but he's the same player. He's looking for the same opportunities. I don't think that works. I mean, obviously you have to pick him up if you have the chance, because you never know. But it doesn't strike me as a transfer that I think is great. I have Ronaldo. Should I sell him or keep it for a Tony type of player? If you can trade Ronaldo for Tony, absolutely do it. If you can get Tony, Wilson, Mitrovic, any of those boys, even Martial, take it and run. 6-man league: Pope, Guaita, Cucurella, Trippier, Perisic, Dunk, Doherty, Maddison, Saka, Son, Gundogan, Diaz, Wilson, Bamford, Martial. I wouldn't touch it, I don't think, unless there's something outstanding on waivers. I would not touch it. I think it's really good. Even, obviously, you have the Wilson Bamford problem this week if they don't play, but you can play Martial 5 in midfield, and you can play Cucurella, Trippier, Perisic, and Dunk. I'd maybe drop Doherty. I'd probably drop Doherty, pick up a guaranteed starter, put him first on your bench, or play him depending on the fixture, and then you've got a guaranteed first bench, and you can bench Wilson and Martial. Do you think I should start Matip and Doherty? Yeah, you might as well start them. Doherty could get 1 point, but definitely start Matip, because he's not going to get 1 point, you wouldn't have thought. You'll either get a sub or not, but Doherty's a little bit trickier. I'd probably start him anyway, just in case. Keep Dean, tough start for Villa. Surely they must improve. You'd definitely think they'd improve, but it's not guaranteed. But you would think they would. I'd keep him for the time being, a few more weeks, and then you'd be all right. A friend of mine has kept Matip, but with his injuries being longer than expected, should he drop him, as he's yet to win a game this season? He definitely shouldn't drop him before I play him this weekend, Ben. But after I've played him this weekend, he may well look to drop him, yeah. He should have dropped him. And actually, now he might as well keep him. He should have dropped him game week 1 when he had like 5 injured players. But hey, he doesn't want advice. Assuming all 3 get added to FPL, how do you rank the new potential signings between Anthony, Isaac, and Aubameyang? If they come in the same waiver slot, which I'm not sure if they will because of the midweek games, it's going to be a really tight turnaround between the game week 5 waiver deadline and the game week 6. So they may not all come in the same one. I would rank them probably Aubameyang first, just because of the guaranteed minutes. Then Isaac, and then Anthony for me. I think Isaac's just a little bit more proven. I think he's going to start. Anthony someone in our group chat, this might annoy some United fans, but someone in our group chat today just said, like, compared him to Sofiane Boufal. And now I cannot unsee it. Like, he's just giving me serious Boufal vibes. And that has kind of put me off him. And we're not really sure if he starts. Like, Sancho, Martial, Rashford could be the 3. Do you think it's worth sabotaging my week to get transfers? I'm 9th out of 12. I'd say no. I never tank it. It doesn't. It just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, if you were 11th, then maybe. But I don't think there's anyone worth tanking for. I really don't. I'll just try and do your best. Just do your best, bro. Exactly my thoughts were going. 8 Nori, Ben Mee, or Joe Gomez. Probably Ben Mee. I like the fixtures. Brentford have got Everton at home, Palace away, Leeds at home, Saints away in the next 4. So, and the fixtures are good for like 2 months. Probably Ben Mee. Who do you think will start, Sanchez or Romero? I think Sanchez this week, Romero when he gets back. Do you keep holding Mahrez? I know who'll get game time when Champions League arrives. Yeah, definitely hold Mahrez. Unless you're in a really small league and there's proper alternatives, I would hold Mahrez. Right, now we caught up on the chat. I'm going to jump over to the YouTube comments on the waiver video. I'm going to talk through some of them. I'll still keep one eye on chat. And I'll sprinkle in some topics from the chat as well. So if you have anything, feel free to carry on asking your questions. Also, thank you everyone for joining me. 30 viewers at the moment. Only 2 likes. Come on, boys. Let's get that at least up to 20. Minimum 20. But yeah, let's jump over to the YouTube comments. And seeing as I did promise that I would answer these. And if you have anything else you want to add, stick it in the chat. Do you think I should trade Coutinho for Benrahma? Tough one. Benrahma, I think, is probably a good option at the moment, but he could always lose his place kind of at any moment. But I probably would. I'm not in on Coutinho at all. Right. YouTube comments. Here we are. So this is the waiver video that I posted a couple of days ago. We are at 46 comments. Holy. So, let's have a look. First one. Hey Joe, my forwards are Mitro, Watkins and Mbumo. Should I drop Mbumo for Jimenez or Adams? I said Adams because he scored 4 goals in his last 2 games, one in the Premier League, one in the Carabao. So, I want to hear your thoughts. I kind of spoke about it a little bit already, but I like Che Adams. I think he's their best forward by miles, and I do not understand why Ralph refuses to play him consistently. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So I don't understand that, but that does worry me. I would drop Mbumo for Jimenez, I think. I don't love the Wolves attack, but it's Jimenez, right? I think he's going to play. Mbumo's got great fixtures, but I'd probably take the punt on Jimenez. I think he's got a bit more upside. Fabio Vieira training well. Maybe he gets some minutes this week. To be honest, I don't think he will. I think he'll get a lot of Europa League minutes. Well, I mean, he could get minutes. He could get 10 minutes. Probably will get 10, 15 minutes. But not enough to be a concern, I don't think. I'm looking forward to watching him, actually. I'm really looking forward to it. He played some under 23 minutes and looked sick. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I just don't think he starts. Oh, that Vieira chant. Cannot wait. Who wins this trade? Havertz, Martinelli and Davis for Jesus, Matip and Guimaraes. That's tough. I would say I'd say the Jesus side. I think the Jesus side. Especially if Oba comes in. Martinelli overperforming a bit. Yeah, I was well high on Cash. I was really, really high on Cash. But you sometimes just have to reassess and look at what's in front of you, and they don't look good. So, and even if they get a new manager and they start playing well, you don't really know if Cash is going to be that advanced. He's not historically been a very attacking fullback until last season. So maybe it's just one of those things. If there are good options on the waivers and you need a good fixture, and Cash is droppable for sure. I mean, ideally you get a trade for him, but I do think he's droppable. Okay, next comment. Feeling a little discouraged having both Mahrez and Grealish. Oh my God, story of my life. I don't have them this season, but this is me literally every other year. Any suggestions on what I should do? You should probably you should try and trade one of them. In my opinion, preferably Grealish. At least Mahrez, when he plays, you know he's going to get those points. He is so clinical. But Grealish is a bit more of a ball progressor, a little bit more of a dribble merchant. If you can get the likes of, a decent output kind of forward, the likes of Harrison, someone like that, I'd probably go for it and keep Mahrez. But yeah, it is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Do you think Ake will start? I don't know, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I've binned him. Well, I haven't yet because the waivers ain't gone through. But when they do, I had him in 2 leagues and he will be gone because I'm not playing that silly game. Okay. Next comment. My usual starting defenders are Cancelo, Virgil, Van Dijk and Matip. Target on the bench. I want to drop Anderson, so how would you rank the following defenders long term? Henry, Botman, Webster, Veltman. I would say the Brighton boys. I think the Brighton boys have got it for me. I just think Brighton look really tight defensively, and defensive returns is like the key thing you want for a defender. Obviously Henry's got the attacking threat a bit more, but Brentford are kind of leaky. So yeah, one of the Brighton boys for me, I think it's 50-50 which one you pick, and I don't think there's much in it. I think Veltman's slightly better on bonus, Webster's slightly more attacking threat. So Man United players revelation after Liverpool victory. Yeah, they did look good, didn't they? They did look really good. I don't want to overreact, but I have brought in Martial and Bruno in a trade today. So maybe I have already overreacted. I'm by no means a United fan, right? I have no love for United, but I think sometimes in draft you just have to be like, that looks like an opportunity. And the way they beat Liverpool, I don't think Ten Hag can bring Ronaldo back into the side. It doesn't, or Maguire. I don't think he can do it because it just undermines that whole performance. The only way it happens is if they get beat by Saints at the weekend. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to be too good for them. So I think Martial definitely has gone way up in my thinking. Bruno's gone up in my thinking. Sancho and Rashford have both gone up a little bit, but with Anthony news, if he comes, they could go down again. I'm more in on Bruno and Martial than anyone else, I'd say. Okay, next question on here, quick. Let's have a look. Would you swap Dean and Cash for any defension you mentioned? Also, I have Jota, Watkins and Wilson for forwards. Do you think I should try and waiver Jimenez in for Jota or Wilson? I would say no. As annoying as it is this game week to not have potentially Jota and Wilson, long term, you will seriously regret dropping them. Unless Wilson's unless it turns out he's out for a long time, you'll regret that. So I'd say no. It's annoying, but you just have to play Watkins up on his own, and that's that. Dina and Cash, you don't really want them, do you? No one really wants them, but it's hard to get rid. I've got cash in a league or two. I think I've got Dina as well in one, and it's annoying. But I'm not gonna rush because they do have upside. So I'm not gonna rush into anything. But yeah, very annoying. Would you swap some Max for Zaha, considering that Isaac is coming to Newcastle? I would take Zaha. Irregardless of the Isaac news, I just think Zaha's like end product looks like he's taken it up a level. So yeah, I would take Zaha. What we got in the chat? Thoughts on some of the League Cup results / performances? Well, I'll say that round 2 of the League Cup is not something that I take too much credence in. But there were some things to take note from, right? Leicester drew with Stockport and eventually beat them on penalties. The Leicester fans were chanting sacked in the morning to Brendan Rodgers. That's not a good sign for Brendan. So that's something to definitely look at. Everton beat Fleetwood 1-0, which isn't exactly... I mean, they are who we thought they are, I guess. Villa had a decent result, I think, against Bolton, but I think it was 3-0, 4-0, 4-1, something like that. So that's a pretty good result. But again, it's the League Cup. Maybe that might spell changes because they've done well. I'm pretty sure Leon Bailey scored. I think Luca Dean scored as well. So maybe we'll see a bit of a resurgence from Villa. Other than that, I think Fulham got knocked out to lower league opposition. But yeah, not too much to read into it, I don't think. Wilson out minimum 3 to 4 weeks, and with him that usually 7 to 8 weeks. Is that confirmed? Has that come out today? Have I missed that? Let me have a look on the Premier League. Is this... let me refresh this. I don't know if this... I mean, this might not be bang up to date if it's not completely... Callum Wilson, August the 23rd. So that was Tuesday. He's okay. The normal process, he's gone for a scan. We're waiting for those results. So according to that, we don't know, but maybe... Let me just search on Twitter quick and see if there's anything else come out that I have missed. This is my usual process for checking injuries. I check the injury table that I just showed there. Yeah, missed 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, that is a big deal. Yeah, that is a big deal. Who's this? Luke Edwards from The Telegraph. João Pedro. Okay, that's interesting. That is interesting. That makes it a bit tougher to hold him. 3 to 4 weeks. We've got a midweek game week as well. So that's probably 5 game weeks minimum we're looking at there. Ooh. I tell you what, Isaac's just gone up in my estimations, and probably for this week so has Chris Wood. I think you still hold him. If you can, you still hold him. Still hold him. If you're maybe 6-man league or less, you probably drop. Anything more than that, I think get rid. JJ, Patreon is awesome, by the way. Thanks, JJ. Let me just plug it really quick. So, you can support the channel if you want on Patreon. It's like £3 a month. You can join our Discord server. We've been chatting away about drafting there, people asking us questions. There's a few other of the Snake Draft FPL boys in the Discord as well, answering questions, having discussions. It's good. It's good. It's good fun. Obviously no pressure, nothing's going to change on the channel. If you don't want to do it, that's fine, but I would recommend it. And this stuff ain't free, and it kind of helps offset a bit of the cost. So yeah, it's good fun, but no pressure. And there's a link in the description if you really fancy it. Martial versus Welbeck, who to bench? Do we think Martial starts? Yeah, I think Martial starts for sure. For sure. This might be famous last words, but I don't see any way he doesn't start, surely. I mean, he just looked like what the United fans were expecting from pre-season. So, yeah, I think he starts. Right, let's do another comment, because I need to make sure I get through all of these. My team is Edison, Ward, Cancelo, Van Dijk, Matip, Target, Anderson, Foden, Harrison, Trossard, Gray, Fornals, Mitro, Watkins and Bumo. Any suggestions? Just wanted to thanks for your advice. Undefeated number 1. Nice. Good work. Any suggestions? Keepers are fine. Defence. So I guess you're going to be playing Cancelo, Van Dijk. Probably Target this week. Foden, Harrison, Trossard, Gray, Fornals, Mitro, Watkins and Boomer. Yeah, it looks good. I'm not hot on Gray. Pardon me. To be honest, I'm really not hot on Gray at all. I don't know what it is. There's nothing about it that really. He doesn't seem to have any end product. He just looks like a 2-point with a bit of threat, and I'm not into him. If there's a good person on waivers, I'd look at Gray, Damari Gray. He's never done it for me really. But other than that, I think it's a good team. What should we do about Bruno G? Get rid if there's a good option. I mean, he's playing number 6. It's not something you want really. You wouldn't pick up Basuma when he's at Brighton because they don't attack, and Bruno G's a better player, but that's what he's doing at the moment. So try and trade him. If you can't, I'd pick up an attacking mid off the waivers. I've both Martinelli and Tony and think about selling them high. Oh, that is my kind of comment. Who should I be ideally looking at for great value trade? Martinelli and Tony, I think you could probably realistically get either a tier 1 attacker and a tier 3 attacker. So maybe off the top of my head, you could potentially get something like Diaz and Mitro. No, maybe not Mitro. Diaz and Bamford, maybe, which might be decent. Or you could potentially get 2 kind of tier 2 attackers that haven't quite done it yet. Maybe something like Saka and Darwin. I mean, if you can get Saka and Darwin, you should do it. You probably won't be able to get that, but you might. I mean, I'm high on Martinelli, but I think now it might be. I mean, you might want to wait a couple of weeks because Brentford and Arsenal's fixtures are unreal for ages. I mean, I can get them up on screen here. Oh no, that's not the right button. There we go. Look at Brentford's next 4. Everton at home, Palace away, Leeds at home, Saints at home, right? You could have 4 returns in the next 4. Arsenal, Fulham at home, Villa at home, United away, then Everton at home. And then they play each other. So for the next 4 weeks, you could probably hold and sell them even higher, in my opinion. So it might not be the time. Maybe once this run of fixtures is done, then it might be the time to sell. But definitely a good one. A good idea though. I like the thought of and that's the kind of thing I do. You take the form and then you run away. Thoughts on Trossard and Estupiñán at Brighton? Estupiñán, I just don't think he's going to start. I kind of touched on it briefly at the start of the stream. I think he's going to start eventually, but I think for the time being, I just don't think he can do the role that Trossard's doing at the moment, where he's starting left wing back, but then they kind of shift round and he's like a left forward. That's not what Estupiñán will do. I think it will carry on how it's been at the moment, where Estupiñán's coming on to see out games and Trossard's moving into that forward position. So I wouldn't rush to bring him in, and I wouldn't worry really about your assets that you already have that are might be impacted by it. I just don't think it'll be an issue. Eventually, I think it will be an issue, but Potter, I think we'll stick with what he's got at the moment. It's doing so well. They look so slick in transition that I wouldn't be too worried. It's time for me to say goodbye to Neto. Aronson, Guedes, McAllister, Benrahma, Eriksson, Almiron. I like basically all of them over Neto, I think. Aronson, yes. Big yes for Aronson. I'm a big fan. Almiron, I'd say yes, and with the Wilson news, Isaac's probably not as much of a problem to him either. Benrahma, bit more risky. Not too keen on Eriksson. I just think he's playing a little bit too deep. Obviously he's got set pieces, but that's not that big of a deal. Guedes, I think is great as well. Like Guedes, but from Neto to Guedes doesn't make too much sense to me because I think they're pretty similar. He might have better output in the end, but not too. I don't really. I think it's kind of a sideways move. Thoughts on Matheus Nunes' debut for Wolves? He looked pretty good, didn't he? Did look good. The question is, of course, how attacking is he going to be? But yeah, no, he did look good. I just worry that he's not going to be that final, on the end of stuff, which could be the problem. Swap Wilson for Solanke. Well, Solanke's also got a knock, and we're not sure if he's going to play at the weekend. So, I mean, I don't know if there's been any update on Solanke today. I think their press conference is tomorrow. Yeah, nothing today. So, yeah. Hang on. No, there is. He'll train for the first time tomorrow. Hopefully, he could be an option for the weekend. Right, so he's not going to play. He might get 10 minutes. So that's a bit of a risk. If you can afford to bench Wilson, I'd try and bench him for as long as you possibly can. Worried about Havertz and Chilwell 6-man league. 6-man league, yeah, I get it. I would wait and see. Wait and see for as long as you possibly can. Yeah, I'd wait as long as you can for Havertz. Chilwell, I think, will probably start against Leicester, and if he does well, I think everyone could kind of turn around on him a bit. Do you reckon I waiver out Gordon, Trossard, Xhaka, and Elise in the pool? Nah, I don't think so. Maybe Trossard would be the one I'd consider the most, I think. But I think Gordon's good. And the thing is, if he gets the Chelsea move and he starts for Chelsea, then you're absolutely onto a winner. Top 5 players ignoring injuries until World Cup 2022. Until the World Cup, I would say Salah, Kev, Jesus, Kane, Haaland. I can't remember if that's what I said on the pod last night, but I think that's it. Is Martinelli for Saka a winning trade? It's tough. It's tough. I mean, at the moment, yeah, I'd take Martinelli, but long term, we're not effectively. He's playing on the right, but have I? Are we back? I think we're good. Yeah, Saka for Martinelli is a bit of a risk, but Martinelli's basically playing up front, and Saka's kind of playing a half right wing back. So you've got to think for the time being, Martinelli's the boy. Thoughts on the sack race? Stevie G, Brenda, and Frank. I think Frank's going to be all right. I think he's won a bit of. The fans seem to like him, and that's a big deal at Goodison. I think Brenda is in a big. I think he might walk. To be honest, he might get sacked. He might just walk. The whole club seems to be a mess. I got a feeling Stevie G might. I think he'll get a bit of time. I think Brendan's the one for me. Right, I'm going to do a few more comments. Let's flick back over to this. I somehow both got Jimenez, Bamford, Johnson, Firmino, and Dennis available on waivers. Whew, in an 8-man league. Just one spot. Mitrovic and Vardy I'd like to keep. Who would you get? I would go for Jimenez, Bamford, or Johnson. If you're going to get someone in this week, I would go for maybe Firmino this week. I really don't like him long term, but maybe Firmino for this week, and then Johnson's fixtures are tough. Well, actually, they've got Spurs and then City, and then they've got a great run. So if you can flip about until game week 6, then get Johnson in would be my idea, or maybe just get Jimenez and hold him. Jimenez might just be the safe play, to be honest. Any thoughts on picking up Elanga Also thinking about picking up Emerson, who just signed for West Ham. Do you think that's a good idea? Alanga is a tough one. He played really well in the first half and then got subbed off at half time to let Rashford run at Trent, which is fine, but it does also make you think, why didn't they trust Alanga to run at Trent? So, yeah. Also thinking about Emerson, who just signed for West Ham. Do you think it's a good idea? I don't hate it. I think he's definitely going to play. They've got big problems. And he's generally quite an attacking player. So you'd think he's sub. But Moyes does have a habit of slowly introducing players. So, yeah, I would just be cautious would be my opinion on that one. Oh, comments flying in. Let's have a look what we got. Should I do this trade, Havertz and Martinelli for Bruno? I would keep Havertz and Martinelli, I think. I just think it's too much of a risk to get Bruno for Havertz and Martinelli, I think. I don't hate it, but I would probably not punt that much. I have Xhaka and Andreas Pereira. Would you switch for either Guedes or Harvey Elliott this week? If you need to start someone, I would probably do Pereira to Harvey Elliott. But if you can bench Pereira, then I would bench him. He looks like he's going to be a much better player at home for Fulham this year. So, I mean, it's early days, obviously, but that's how it looks. So I'd probably try and hide Pereira this week if you can. Xhaka, I think, is good to play over Guedes or Harvey Elliott, to be honest. 12-man league. Tony, Darwin, Solanke, Grealish, Saka, KDH, MGW, Partey, Benrahma, Buendia, 8-9, Target, Cash, Tommy, and Ramsdale. I can't get anyone to pick up Grealish. Oh, trade. Let's see. Transfer in Aronson for Bailey. Transfer in Aronson for Bailey. Yes, definitely. That took a little bit of time to think then, but I think Aronson looks like a good pick. And Bailey just seems like, who knows if he's a good pick. I certainly don't know if he's a good pick. I think Aronson you can probably count on being a decent pick. I don't think there's much downside there, really. So yeah, I'd probably do that. Thoughts on Wolves evolving this season? Wolves are an enigma. I'd love to be able to say, like, this is how I think Wolves are going to play. This is what they're going to do. Every time I think I've got it figured out, they just completely change. Like, last year I expected them to be all guns blazing, attack, and they were the complete opposite. This year their defensive numbers are pretty good, but the finishing is terrible. I am lost on Wolves. I own Guedes in a couple of leagues. I don't really know what to do with him. I'm just trying to hide him and wait for more information, to be honest. And I think that's my advice on basically every single Wolves player. I can't figure them out. I don't know who's a good pick. I don't know who's going to start. Obviously, this is terrible content because I'm not giving you much. But I really don't know. And I don't think anyone knows. And people that say they think they know probably don't. Let me get the fixtures up. I know the fixtures are okay. Well, actually, they're not. I mean, the next three are good. Newcastle at home. Well, Newcastle at home is okay. Bournemouth away is pretty good. Saints at home is very good. Hopefully by the Saints at home fixture we know what is going on and we can pick someone. Then they've got Liverpool away, City at home, which is horrendous, and then it's West Ham anyway, which is kind of average. I'm just not going to risk it, I don't think. I mean, you might get lucky and pick the guy that is the great pick, but I don't know. I really don't know. Grealish or Barnes? Probably Grealish. I'm just not keen on Leicester. I'm stuck with Grealish too. Drafted him in the 3rd round. Yeah, it's tough. Grealish is a tough one. I was not overly high on him. I would have said maybe 4th round was about where I would have taken him. Early 4th round, late 3rd round. But yeah, it's a tough one, Grealish. I think if you can get a decent trade from him, someone with a bit of upside, then do it. What to do with Trent? Sit tight. Best attacking stats in the league for defenders. Highest expected goal involvement for all defenders. They got Bournemouth next. If he gets 12 points against Bournemouth at home, you wouldn't be worried at all. So I'd just sit on it. Wolves are good fixtures for the next 3. Take a chance dropping Wilson for Jimenez and try and pick him back up. The thing is, like, are you sure you can get him back? Because if you can't, well, the thing with Wilson is, these injuries happen. Everyone knows. And he generally takes longer than expected to come back. So if you're going to bin him, do it now and get a good replacement in. If you're going to hold him, if you have no other problems in your team and you think I can just stick him in the back of my bench for 2 months and it's irrelevant, then do that. If you're a bit tight, drop him now. Like, do it early, put him in the waivers and be done with it. But I wouldn't bank on getting him back because that is a gamble. You may just not get him back. Rate my team. Okay, Tony, Darwin, Wilson. Yep. Good front 3. Obviously, Wilson, a bit of an issue potentially now. Grealish, Andreas Pereira, Bailey, Odegaard, Gross. Trent, Perisic, Trippier, Ake, Aspi, Raya, Meslier. Thanks, brah. You're very welcome. Now, there are some things I think you can do in the waivers this week because it is a good team, but you're just starting to get some blurry lines around the edges, I'd say. Aspi will probably start this week, you would think, after the Koulibaly sending off, but it's not guaranteed, but he probably will. I think Ake needs to go because I don't think he's going to start this week, and Perisic could miss out, Aspi could miss out. You could then only have 2 defenders, which is not ideal. So I think Ake has to go for maybe a Brighton defender or Newcastle defender or Brentford defender maybe. The midfield, I would probably, if there's any decent options on waivers, I'd probably get rid of Bailey. The rest is fine. The rest is absolutely fine. I mean, it's a good team. It is a good team. But yeah, that would be my suggestion. Ake and Bailey I'd look to get rid of. Or if you want to gamble on Ake, then I think you need to get rid of Aspi. But I think Aspi's got more chance of starting. Hey there, how do you hold players on your bench usually? Getting hit with injuries, but long term don't want to waiver someone like Report Romero Solanke. Yeah, it's really difficult. And that, to be honest, I think one of the biggest and most underrated skills in draft is when to drop someone and when to keep someone. You have to be patient, but you have to be ruthless as well. And I always think when you get the news that one of your players is injured, as annoying as it is, you have to decide then and there, if there's a good option on waivers, then do it quickly. If you're going to hold, then hold as long as you can, because you're just wasting weeks. If you hold someone for 5 weeks and then drop them, and then they come back 3 or 4 weeks later and you don't get them back, well, you kind of wasted 5 weeks of a potential good pick. So it is difficult. And if you get unlucky and you have a lot of injuries, sometimes you just have to lump it and drop one. Like, I think in one of my leagues this week, I'm dropping Solanke because I have too many injuries. I think I've got Darwin, I've got Laporte maybe, I've got Romero, and I'm looking at it thinking I can't hold Solanke. I won't get 11 out, and like, you can't just throw away game weeks because you think, oh, I've got injuries, I'm unlucky. Like, sometimes you have to bin them, and I think Solanke is in that. I mean, he could be back, he could be on the bench this week. So if you can bench them, do. Like, if you can get out 11 with good fixtures, and by good fixtures I mean like okay fixtures, then do it. But if not, then will Isaac be a good pick? I think he will. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Prem. I think he's going to do well. I mean, this Wilson news is like music to his ears, surely. I can hold Wilson, but the risk is with future congestion this season, the midweek games, I'm expecting a lot of rotation. Me too. I'm expecting a lot of rotation. But the one thing is, with the 5 subs, I'm expecting more one-pointers than ever before because people are going to keep getting subbed on. You know, someone's going to get rested, but with 5 subs, they're probably going to get 10 minutes. So I don't think the subs bench is too important because you're going to get so many like 1-point blockers anyway. How to convince others in the league to accept the trade? I wish I knew. I spend every day trying to persuade people to accept my trades, and it very rarely works. The problem is, if you're clearly trying to convince them that the players you're giving them are better than the players they're giving you, it's obviously bullcrap, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't do the trade. I find it's best to try and convince people that it's good for both of you. Would be my advice. Try and convince them that what you're giving them is better for their team and what they're giving you is better for your team. That's generally how I go about it. Going to get Aronson instead of Bailey. Yeah, great. Do you think a Brighton player has as much long-term value as Ake does? I think he does because when Laporte is back, and it won't be too much longer, like how often does Ake... I mean, how often did he play last year? Like, not loads. He will still get minutes, of course, but you just don't know when they're going to come, and it's just something I don't really like to dabble in. Isaac or Jimenez long term, that is a real... I mean, the safe play is Jimenez. We know Jimenez. We know how he performs in this league. Isaac is more of a risk. I would say Isaac probably has more upside though. So if you're feeling risky, I'd go for Isaac. Your ranks haven't led me wrong yet. Well, you're very welcome. You are very welcome. Appreciate the content. Adama or Cornet? Ooh. Do you know, I'm actually looking at dropping Cornet this week in a couple of leagues. I don't like the way David Moyes takes so long to integrate players, and you always feel like the next week your guy's gonna start starting, but I'm just not. I just don't know. I'm out on Cornet. I think Adama. I mean, we know who he is, right? The problem is, how much does he play? We don't know that. But I think I'd go for him over Cornet. Who's the best Brighton defender? I think probably Dunk. Best on bonus. Probably the most attacking threat. After that, I think Webster and Veltman are a toss-up. I think either of the three, you can't really go wrong, though. Gross or Harrison? Gross has the stats. Harrison has the eye test. So, how do you like to play it? Personally, I'm a stats guy. I would go for Gross. Gross also has the fixtures. Or does he? Let me have a look at the fixtures. When it's a toss-up like this, I normally go to the fixtures. Leeds are number 2. Brighton are number 4 over the next 6. But Brighton are probably the stronger team. That is very close. I would say pick ever which one your gut is telling you would like more. Probably Harrison. Drop Elise for McAllister and Coutinho for Almiron. Coutinho for Almiron, I would say yes. Elise for McAllister, can you hide him? If you can hide Elise for... let me look at their fixtures. You don't want to play him this week. Can you hide him until Brentford at home and hope he starts that one? If that's the case, I'd probably keep him for next week. If not, if you need someone to play, get McAllister. Welbeck or Adams for Skamaka? Probably I'd probably go for Welbeck over Skamaka. As I said, David Moyes, who knows what he's doing, to be honest. Like, who knows? So Welbeck's the more sure thing, you would say. 37 viewers. Where have you all come from? Good work. Like the stream, please, boys, while I take a sip. Right. I'm going to do a few more. Oh, what's JJ? Thoughts on West Ham's 3-0 win in this Conference League Impacts on Premier League lineup this Sunday? You'd think so, yeah. You would think so. I think it's really hard to tell the 3 attacking midfielders because they've just got so many. They've got so many for like not many spots, And that is always tricky because we don't really know. I personally think that Benrahma, Bowen and Fornals are probably the ones that start with Antonio up front. But that is just because I'm kind of going off what we know David Moyes does. Whereas, like, if it was me, that's probably not who I'd play. But Moyes is very much like stick and not twist, really. So that would be my guess. Would you swap Cash or Joe Gomez for Fofana? I would probably swap. Yeah, I'd probably swap Joe Gomez for Fofana. I think. Maybe not this week. Maybe. I'm not convinced with the whole Fofana thing, but he probably will be a good pick if he goes. So depends if you need someone for this week. You want to play Joe Gomez surely because it looks like he's definitely going to start as long as Matip is out, which I don't think is 100% confirmed yet. But I think Gomez probably starts this week, and they look good for a clean against Bournemouth, so you don't really want to lose him for this week. What do you think of Eriksen to Trossard or Almiron when I've got Gross in my team? I would do Almiron, I think. I'd do Almiron. Good evening, FPL Penguin. Nice to see you. Pick one who I should start. Wissa, De Silva, Benrahma or Pereira. To start this week, I would go for Benrahma, I think. I think Villa look poor. I think he probably starts. But yeah, tough one. Rate my team in a 7-man league. Mendy/Sanchez. Yeah, that's pretty good. Trent, Cancelo, Saliba, Ake, Martinez. Sancho, Martinelli, Mount, Grealish, Eze, Tony, Jota, Richarlison. Love your content. Thank you very much. Defense is good. Keepers are obviously, yeah, that's fine. Sancho, Martinelli, Mount, Grealish, Eze. I like that because you can kind of hide Eze for the bad fixtures. Tony, Jota, Richarlison. Kind of. The Jota, Richarlison double up is kind of tough because obviously you don't really want to be starting Richarlison at the moment. And you obviously can't start Jota. So you're kind of stuck with one up front. But the rest of your team's pretty much good enough that you can hide that, I'd say. The only thing is, I guess your next problem is going to be Ake. And then by then you hope that the other two are back. So you might want to look at Ake, but I think it's fine. Would it be a good move to get Fofana before he moves to Chelsea? I mean, yeah, it's a good move. And especially if you don't need him for this week, it's definitely a good move. Because if he moves, you'll struggle to get him on waivers after that. Should I pick up Bruno Fernandes in FPL Draft? He's free. Yes, definitely. Just good. Not if you touch this. What do you think about Harrison versus McAllister, Gross, Xhaka for the waivers? For me, Harrison. Leeds have got great fixtures. Harrison is so involved, and he just looks absolutely red hot. I'd say Harrison, in my opinion. Next, I would probably go for Gross. Then McAllister, Xhaka, I think is a bit of a toss-up. Barnes for Benrahma or Gray. I'd potentially look at Barnes for Gray. Problem with Gray just doesn't have that like firepower. I'm not big on him. Everton aren't going to score many goals. Barnes at least has a history of doing quite well. Would you drop Richarlison for Isaac? Yeah, I think I would. I mean, you'd rather not drop Richarlison to the waivers because he's supposedly quite valuable, but I would bin him, to be honest. I'm not. It's someone that's taken up a slot on your 15 that you don't ever want to start at the moment. Okay, in a month's time you might want to start him if they get an injury or if he breaks into the team. But at the moment you don't really want him. No one wants him. Fernandes for Højbjerg, yes. Okay, I'm going to do a few more comments because I'm conscious that I told everyone in this video that I would. So, who would you take as your number one waiver this week? Jack Harrison or Dalot? I would take Jack Harrison for sure. I think he's a much better prospect than Dalot. The United defence doesn't fill me with much joy. I've lost patience with Souček. It's interesting because I'm actually looking at picking Souček up. I mean, it's easier when you've not owned them because you're not frustrated, but I think he's He's had so many chances. The goals are coming surely for Souček. I'm ready to go on him, to be honest. Thinking of picking up either Xhaka or McAllister for Souček. Jimenez for Bamford. Jimenez for Bamford's kind of a 50-50. I would make... I don't know if I would do... I don't think I would do Xhaka or McAllister for Souček. Maybe. If you're frustrated with him and you don't want him anymore, then get rid. Because that makes draft not fun. But I've just realised I've not flicked the screen over. Sorry, everyone. Jimenez for Bamford. Tough call on that one. I don't think I'd do it. I like Leeds, and I think Bamford starts when he's back. Hey Joe, looking for your advice. Currently bottom of the 7-man league. Oosh. Me too. Well, I'm not bottom actually, but I'm close. I have Grealish, but I'm thinking of bringing Rashford in instead. May have jumped too soon. Xhaka, Rashford or Rodri. Don't get Rodri. It's not worth it. To be honest, I would keep Grealish, I think. Yeah, maybe Rashford is probably a good option for Grealish. Maybe Rashford. But I don't know. It's tough dropping Grealish, but I think I would do that. Souček 1 goal, 1 assist today. See, that's annoying because that means other people are going to go for him on the waivers tomorrow. What do you think about Damsgaard? Is he worth stashing for in a 12-man league? If you can stash him, I would, because I do think he's good. But I don't think he's going to start soon, so you do need to be confident you can stash him appropriately. Drop DCL for Martial. Yeah, I would. Probably won't be able to get him back when healthy. I wouldn't worry about it. I think Martial's better. Is it good to trade a premium defender to a mid forward because you can get a good defender out of the waivers? I personally am not big on... I think the real premiums, Trent, Cancelo, Robertson, James, those 4 are really, really good assets. The rest of the premium defenders, I personally like to extract as much value out of them as possible because you can find clean sheets on the waivers much easier than finding attacking returns. So if you can get someone with consistent attacking returns, you can find clean sheets on the waivers easier, in my opinion. That's how I kind of think about it. But attacking the defenders with really high attacking output, you cannot replicate. You can't replicate Reece James and Trent off the waivers. So you need a real premium for those. Rico Henry or Ben Mee? I would say Rico Henry, personally. I just think he offers a bit more threat. De Silva or Benrahma? Benrahma for me. I'm not big on De Silva at all. I think he got pretty lucky with his 2 goals and that's about it. I've got Ake who I want to take out. What order should I list these replacements? Stones, Gomez, Royale, Brighton or Brentford defender. If you need them to play this week, probably Gomez, because he's almost certainly going to play. They look good for a clean sheet. If it's long term, I would take a Brighton defender, probably Dunk or Webster or Veltman. Veltman or Davis in the waivers for me. It depends on what you need. If you need someone for this week, I'd rather Veltman. Long term, Davis is probably the better pick, I think. I'd probably go for Veltman if I need someone for this week. Sterling and Robbo for Trent and Bowen. Nah, I don't think so. Trent's obviously a better pick than Robbo, but not by loads. By a bit. Better on bonus and slightly better attacking output, but not by loads. And I'm not keen on Bowen, to be honest. I think Sterling's got goals coming. I hope so, because I own him. But he so easily could be on a completely different trajectory, right? He's had 2 goals disallowed for marginal offsides that didn't impact the play at all. So, he could easily have 2 goals. He's had a few really good chances that have just been saved, just gone wide. I'm in on Sterling, to be honest. I think he's the only Chelsea boy that I think has actually looked like getting returns. Ward, Travers, Rodak, Leno. Who out of these four? Ugh. Probably Leno, I think. Not Ward. Okay, right. I'm going to go back to the comments. Did I do this? Yeah, I did this. I hope Chelsea signs Oba soon enough for me onto the waivers this week. Yeah, I don't think he probably will, unfortunately. I have first pick and I also have Havertz that I really dislike. Yeah, I feel you. Hi Joe, I have Watkins, Johnson and Martial in my 9-man league and Solanke is currently free. Should I get him? I would stick with Watkins, Johnson and Martial. I think all three are better than Solanke, to be honest. No mention of Guedes, great fixture in the next three. Could turn around their attack with Jimenez back, and Nunes making box-to-box runs. I just traded Lingard for Guedes, right move. I think it's a bit of a toss-up, to be honest. I think Guedes got slightly better fixtures, so probably, yeah. But yeah, I like Guedes. I own him. And to be honest, sometimes I overlook people in the waiver videos that I own because I don't think of them as waivers because I own them. So, yeah, but I like Guedes. Yeah, definitely. Would you do Darwin for Sterling? I don't think so. I think I'd take Darwin. As annoying as it is, and he kind of seems like a bit of an Andy Carroll, his involvement in the box is absurd for the amount of minutes he's had. I'm high on Darwin. Can you rank these? Trying to get them in for Bruno Mares. Cornet, Sinistera, Almiron, Gordon, Aronson, KDH. Okay, I'd go Aronson 1, then Gordon, then Almiron, then Sinistera, then Cornet, and KDH. I think. How do you value Sterling in comparison to other mids? Where does he rank? Ish. So, he's obviously not in the Salah. In fact, let me get the just quickly. Let me find. Whenever I try and rank people like off the top of my head, I always look back to our draft board because I just find it so much easier to visualize if I can see our like start of year draft board, just so I don't forget anyone really. So I would say Salah, Son, KDB are in their own bracket, top 3. The next, not in no particular order. The next bracket, I would say, has Sterling in it. I think it's Bruno, Sterling, Diaz in the next bracket. Those 3. Would I do Sterling for Reece James? That is a very good question. I'm not sure. I don't think I would, just because I already have, like, in terms of my actual team, probably not, because I already have 2 big defenders, so I probably wouldn't. But I seriously think about it. I think I would seriously think about it. I'm taking Coutinho out. Who do you take between Souček, Almiron, and Jensen? Souček for me. I'm all in on him this week. I fancy him against Villa. They're probably blank now. I won't even play. Is it valuable to try to match your opponent's team with defenders because it will limit the ceiling of points anyway you go? Just play whoever you like, get more points. This is a really interesting question that a lot of people talk about in head-to-head. Whether you should match up your opponent's defenders or not. And my kind of... there's kind of 2 schools of thoughts. One is obviously like play the opponent, and the other one is get as many points as you can, and you kind of have to do both. I think if you look at their mids and forwards and compare them to your mids and forwards, like, so just ignore the defence, which team do you think will score more points? If you think your team, your attackers, your mids and your forwards will score more points than them, then you should match up your defence as much as you can, because the rest of your forwards are going to win you the week. If you look at their team and think, ooh, their team looks better, their fixtures look better than mine this week, then you should probably not match up defenders and hope you get the variance that you get the clean sheets and they don't. So yes, you should play whoever you think gets the most points, but you should also have one eye on the matchup and think, I've got the attackers to beat them, so we can match up and it will be fine. What time's the transaction deadline? It's 24 hours before the game week deadline, which is an hour and a half before the first game. So it's generally if there's no Friday game, the waivers deadline is normally 11 o'clock on a Friday morning UK time. So yeah, it's generally 25 hours or 25 and a half hours before the start of the game week. But if you go on the FPL Draft website and go on help and go on transactions, I think you can, or waiver deadlines or something, you can see all the waiver deadlines for the whole season. What to do with Mount? I think you just have to hold him and hope it gets better. And if he spikes a couple of attacking returns but still looks bad, try and trade him. If not, just hold him. Is Kulusevski a good pick? Yeah. I don't think he's as good as he looked after game week 1, but still a good pick. I still think he's got the shirt for now, for sure. And I'd be happy to own him. Can Odegaard keep up his form and have more games like the one against Bournemouth? I think it was a bit of an outlier. He's never been particularly prolific in front of goal. He doesn't get into the box as much as you'd like, but he is still a good asset. I don't see many braces in Odegaard's future, but I still think he's a good asset. Over 40 viewers. Come on, boys. Hit that like button. Aronson and Vardy for Grealish and Guehi. Who gets the better end of the trade? I think I like Aronson and Vardy more. Would you keep Ericsson or get Harrison? I'd get Harrison. Or St. Max or Aronson. Still Harrison, I think. Harrison is doing it for me. Stones over Veltman. I assume Ake doesn't start. For this week, probably Stones. I think, yeah. You think Stones has to start this week? You would think. Vardy and Aronson better. Yeah, I agree. Where do you value Dean? Is he a waiver floater or higher? It's so tough because you always think if I drop him, he could just get worse. That's the problem. But I don't hate dropping him if you need to. I think if you need a good fixture and you don't like the look of his fixture, then I no problem with dropping him. Eze Almiron, I would say Almiron just because of the fixtures. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more of these comments. With Alexander Isaac Jr. Newcastle, what happens with Callum Wilson? Well, he's been injured, so this is kind of a moot point now, so I'm going to move on from that one. What do you feel about Solanke dropping for Jimenez or Che Adams? Yeah, I think Jimenez is a good pickup for Solanke. Ake, depending on injury. I think Ake is a drop now. I don't see him starting this week, and then Laporte is back soon, so I'm not too keen. Keep Harvey Elliott or drop him for Eze, McAllister or Gray. I think Harvey Elliott's not a bad pick for the time being. While Thiago's out, it looks like he's going to play because I don't know who the hell else they'd play in there. I don't think he's the worst pick in the world while they've got good fixtures. Preference, Veltman, Webster or Tierney high up on my pickups. Tierney is a shame, but I just don't see him starting for the time being. We're not going to change anything until it goes wrong, I don't think. So I really like Tierney, but I don't think he starts for the time being. Any new transfers that you consider be a must pick up or good target to watch? Well, I kind of got a few in the video, and I've kind of talked about a lot today. It depends who you got free, so I can't really answer that without seeing who's available. In terms of transfers, I mean, Isaac looks really good. Anthony and Oba, I would say, are must pickups if they come. Other than that, was thinking of moving on Tierney and picking up Joe Gomez and Malacia. Yeah, if you need a defender this week, Joe Gomez looks great just for the 1 week. Malacia long term might be good. I still don't trust United's defence really. Neto rumours, poor performances. I don't think Neto's been that bad. I just don't think he's got any attacking returns. That doesn't necessarily mean he's had poor performances. But I can understand why you'd want to get rid, and I think I do slightly prefer Guedes. I've been offered Mount for Martinelli trade. This is I don't know which. I'm assuming you have Martinelli. I've been offered Mount. Yeah, so I'm assuming you have Martinelli. I mean, this could be a classic sell high. The problem is Mount looks so bad that it's a struggle to take that. You've got to be really ballsy, I think, to take this. I don't think I'd be able to do it. especially where the fixtures are so good for Arsenal. We've got 5 home games in the next 7, which doesn't make any sense at all. But so I think you probably keep for at least the next 4, which are really good. I have an issue where my midfield and attack feels too good for short-term return waivers. Yeah, I know that it's not a bad thing. Trust me. I have Tony, Jesus, Wilson, Foden, Saka, Maddison, JWP, Son. That is good. Should I make a trade for a defender? I know what you mean. I get stuck in this sometimes. Where you have such a good midfield and attack, you don't want to waiver any of them because you think like they're all too good for the waivers, so you just want to keep them all. And I get it. But on the other hand, if all your players are better than everyone that's on the waivers, like you can just sit tight. Like there's no need. You don't need to play the waivers every week. I mean, I enjoy it. A lot of people enjoy it. I like having a spot that I can waiver every week. But I'd rather. I mean, points are what matters. If you can get a premium defender for one of these boys, if you could get say Robertson for Maddison, for instance, then maybe do it. Because I know what you mean. I've done that. I've done similar things like this before. Get a premium defender in for one of my mids. I've done it before as well, where I've traded a premium defender for a premium mid so that I can have more fun on the waivers with defence. But it's hard to pick up good midfield and attacking waivers week in, week out because attacking returns are hard to predict. So you're probably better off like you are and fishing around in the defenders. Brighton or Newcastle defender for next week. I believe. Oh, do you know what? I saw the bookies clean sheet odds on Twitter, which is my go. When I'm looking at starting defenders, the first thing I do is look at the clean sheet odds from the bookies because that's quite an unbiased. That's quite an unbiased sort of opinion, right? So I can actually get these up on screen. Stand by. I think like if you've got 2 defenders with very little or very similar attacking threat, and all you want to know is who's more likely to get a clean sheet, probably the fairest and easiest way to do it is look at the bookies odds. So there's a guy on Twitter. Let me change this back. So there's a guy on Twitter, FPL Salah. He's more of a standard FPL account, but this is really helpful for drafts as well. Every week he tweets the clean sheet probability from the bookies. You could just go on the book. Sometimes I'll just go on Sky Bet and look at the odds myself. But this is when I see this, it's handy. So if you just want to know straight up who should I play, well, Brighton have according to the bookies who are pretty good. Brighton have a 36% chance. Newcastle have a 29% chance. So you play the Brighton defender. And it's as simple as that, really. If they've both got a similar attacking threat, then that's what you do. What am I doing? I'm going to do it right. Let's do a couple more of these. I'm getting how many more have we got? Not loads. Okay. Oh no, where was I? I've just done that one. I've been offered Van Dijk for Laporte. Good trade. I'd take Van Dijk for sure. Liverpool are a bit of a mess, but the minutes is night and day. Take Van Dijk. Best long-term waiver pickup available: Malacia, Botman, Webster, Almiron, Dewsbury, Cornet, Guedes, and Mateta. Best long-term pickup, I would say, probably Guedes, I think, or maybe Almiron. Defenders, I'd say Webster. I think Brighton defence is very good. I'm not keen on Mateta, to be honest. I just don't think he's going to play that much. What am I doing? How would you handle the Doherty dilemma? Would you keep, drop? I would. I'd get rid. Time to get rid of Doherty. He's not the guy. Like, we thought he was going to be the guy at the start of the season. He ain't the guy. So yeah, you gotta bin him. I think there's just no reason to keep him now. What would you do with the likes of Mahrez? Just sit on him. It's annoying. If you draft Mahrez, you have to know that he is not going to play all the time, and he will go through spells where he doesn't play. It happens every year. Then he goes on a great run, and you're so happy. But this is who he is, and you just have to sit on it. Skip that one. I've answered that already. How would you rank Aronson, McAllister, Gross, Xhaka, Joelinton? I would say Aronson 1, Gross 2, McAllister and Xhaka are 50-50, and then Joelinton. Would you drop Bamford for Jimenez? I've answered this already. I think it's really close, and I honestly I don't know. I would rank them side by side. Would you consider dropping Elise for the Gross? Yeah, Elise for Gross seems like a no-brainer. They got City this week. We don't even really know if Elise is going to start, so I would do that for sure. Should I take Saka for Mount? I would probably say another really close one. 2 underperforming assets. Saka looks like he's in the better team. Mount's playing slightly further forward. I'd probably take Saka, but that's personal preference. Eze or McAllister, long term. Long term, I think Eze, but their fixtures are tough. So, yeah. Who should I replace Ronaldo with? Jimenez or Mitrovic. Mitrovic for sure. I am all in on Mitro. All in. Love him. Drop Martial for Jimenez? I say no. You have Bruno and Rashford, then make a trade if you can for someone. I mean, yeah, Triple United is a bit too much. I would probably try and trade out Rashford for, I don't know, Harrison or someone like that. Almiron or Willock versus Benrahma. I'd say Almiron. I think the Wilson injury really helps Almiron because it means that Isaac's not going to take his spot anytime soon. Hey mate, would you do Cash or Dean for Fofana or Davis this week? I probably would do, if you own both Cash and Dean, I'd probably do one of them for Ben Davis if you need someone this week, Fofana if you're looking for a long-term thing. What about Grealish for Ben Chilwell? Ooh, now we're talking. 2 risks. I think Chilwell is a good play. I'll be honest. I think Chilwell's a good play. Obviously, it's not ideal. The Cucurella signing hurts him, definitely. But if they don't get Fofana, which they may well not get him, I think Ben Chilwell plays quite a lot at left wing back, where his final ball is superior to Cucurella's by far. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Chilwell play in the easier fixtures. In the easier fixtures, which is when you want him to play, it wouldn't surprise me to see Cucurella left centre back and Chilwell left wing back to give that more of an attacking overload up that left hand side. Have Wilson and Burma and Jesus. Would you drop in Burma for Martial? Yes, definitely. I'm big on Martial. I think his time is coming. Is Chilwell worth holding on to with Cucurella playing well? I think so. Cucurella's playing well to an extent, but his final ball is not that good. You know, I think he got, what did he get last year? Something like 2 assists and 1 goal. That I've completely pulled that out of my backside, but I think it's something like that, which is not really ideal. Will Alvarez play? I think Mike's right. I think he plays game week 5. You know, game week 5 is a midweek game week, so that's going to be carnage. And I think Haaland's going to get rested for that, and Alvarez may well play in that one. Okay, next comments. Been offered Son for De Bruyne. Would you take that? I would take De Bruyne over Son. Andreas Pereira, McAllister. I prefer McAllister for this week, but Andreas Pereira long term, in my opinion. Dunk or Webster. Probably Dunk just, but not much in it. Webster or Dunk for Cash or Justin. I would definitely get rid of Justin. I picked him up in the Snake Draft League this week. And what was I thinking? What an idiot. James Justin. I put him in the waiver video as well. I'm embarrassed. Leicester are a joke. I wish I'd not gone near him. I thought Leicester were going to improve. I just could not imagine them being as bad as they were in that Saints game. So Justin is gone and he's in exile. Also, I'm sure he could have stopped that Che Adams go off the line. So yeah, I'm out on him. Pick up Jimenez for Solanke. Yeah, probably. I think probably, yeah. Jack Harrison for Neto Eriksson. Yes, definitely. Either one. I'm not too fussed which one you lose, but definitely Harrison. Probably for Eriksson, I think. And that's all of them. I got there. What else we got here? Love the content, by the way. Thank you very much. You are very welcome. Okay, that's all the comments done. I'm glad, because I was starting to think, oh god, I did say I'd do all these comments on the live stream, and then I get sucked into talking with the chat, and you do think, oh god, I hope I get through them all. Thanks for great feedback and insight. I have to go to bed. Oh, it's a late night. Yeah, thanks for joining me, Rasmus. Very, very glad to have you in the stream. Jimenez for Ronaldo. I would wait as long as you possibly can on Ronaldo. Like, as long as you possibly can. You don't want to... I mean, you don't want to drop Ronaldo to the waivers ever. But, yeah, just hold out as long as you can. But if you're looking at the waivers and think, after this week, I'm not going to be able to get anyone, it might be worth doing it. Season long Brighton defence or Crystal Palace defence. That is very, very difficult. It's easy to say at this stage Brighton by a mile, but Palace's fixtures have been really tough. The problem, I think Palace's defence on the whole will be better, but I think Brighton will keep more clean sheets, and mainly because Palace have a real problem with set pieces, and the amount of times they have like a good defensive performance and then give away a stupid set piece is really frustrating. Or like just a silly error. They did it a lot last year, and I just think like it might be time to it might be time to Gross in for Grealish. Oh, it's tough because Gross's fixtures are Gross's performances have been so much better than Grealish's. The fixtures are good. Grealish has higher upside, but I'm not against getting rid of Grealish. If you're not keen on him, I'm not against it, I must say. He may well frustrate you all year and ruin your mood all year. Opponent has Robbo and Alisson versus my Trent. Should I get Joe Gomez? Oh, okay. Now we're talking games. I would say it's Bournemouth at home. They're looking good for a clean sheet. Robbo and Alisson. The thing is, if they keep a clean sheet, Trent is more than likely to be on bonus because he's got the best baseline bonus in the league, pretty much. So, let's assume Alisson doesn't make any saves because it's Bournemouth and they keep a clean sheet. Let's assume Robbo and Trent both don't get attacking returns. Trent probably gets at least 2 bonus. So that's two of the clean sheet points already. So you're halfway there. Gomez isn't going to get bonus, you wouldn't have thought, unless he gets an attacking return, which is unlikely. So I think you're probably okay to not get Gomez if you have a good alternative. But the thing is, if Gomez is the best option for a clean sheet this week for you, and you like the rest of your team compared to your opponent's team, then you should get Gomez, because if that's the best points potential, then you should do it. Thoughts on Scamacca? West Ham are an enigma. I think the player is good, and I think he's better than Antonio at this point. But I just don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to set up. I think in an ideal world, Scamacca plays up front, and then you have Benrahma, Bowen, and Fornals behind, with Rice and Souček in midfield. That's what I would do, but I'm not the manager. David Moyes is, and David Moyes seems to just stick with what he's got until he's forced to change it. So I think Scamacca's good long term. I think he'll get this spot, but just however long it takes, we just don't really know, which is quite annoying. But that is just kind of how it is. Thoughts on Estupiñán? I spoke about it a little bit already, but I don't think he comes straight into the team. I think the role that Trossard's playing at the moment, the kind of hybrid left wing back, left forward role, is kind of unique to Trossard. I don't think Estupiñán can do that, which means I think they probably have to change the system to start him. I think they're going to carry on doing what happened against West Ham, where Estupiñán come on to kind of shore up the game. So I wouldn't go for him yet, to be honest. Thoughts on Havertz? Tough one. I like Havertz, but it's not working at the moment, is it? The problem is Sterling keeps dropping deep for some reason, when Havertz should be doing that and linking the play. And then I think the problem with Chelsea at the moment is the midfield is causing the front players to drop deep because they don't have a passer in the midfield. They need Kovacic back badly, I think, and then we might see a better side to them. Thoughts on Smith Rowe? I just don't think he starts. I don't think anything is going to change with the Arsenal team anytime soon. If you have Odegaard, you should definitely keep him. He is going to play week in, week out for the whole season. Club captain, yeah, just definitely keep him. Thoughts on Ronaldo? I would drop Ronaldo for Martial if that's an option. I think he just plays more. I think he plays more. I think he scores more points. I think he's probably just an all-round better pick. Thoughts on Jota? Jota might actually solve a lot of Liverpool's problems when he's back fit. I think Diaz is not Mane, right? And Diaz's really good form last year coincided with playing with Jota or Mane through the middle. Jota and Mane kind of play a bit more similar. They're going to hang on the last man. They're both kind of quite good in the air for their size. So I think Jota is going to come straight back in the team when he's fit. You know, the only problem is obviously Darwin. They're probably going to come back around the same sort of time, which might be a bit tougher. But yeah, if I own Jota, I'd be more than happy to keep him. I would drop Scamacca for Martial. Yeah, I would personally. Thought on Malacia and Martinez for the back line. It's quite a lot. Like that. It's 2 United defenders is quite a lot. Yeah, so I would be wary of having 2. Backline is James, Llorente, Malacia, Martinez. Yeah, I'd maybe get rid of one of Malacia or Martinez. Probably Martinez. I don't think United's defence is going to be that good. Like, really. Not good enough probably to warrant having 2. Drop Ake for Stones or Gomez. I would drop Ake probably this week for Gomez because I'm not convinced that Ake is going to start this week, and I think Gomez has a fantastic fixture, so he's almost certainly going to play. You would have thought. Raya and Gaeta, Perisic, Chilwell, Romero, Dean, Davinson, Sanchez. That looks pretty solid. Sterling, Diaz, Bowen, Xhaka, Elliott, Martial, Wilson, Richarlison. What do you think of that for 10-man drop Richarlison? Yeah, I would drop Richarlison. I think the problem is you have Wilson who's now injured, so you can't really hide Wilson and Richarlison. I think Richarlison is probably going to start one of the next 3. They have 3 games in a week. He's probably going to start in the Champions League, and he may start the game after Forest, and I can't remember what that fixture is. Stand by. West Ham away. I think Richarlison may well start West Ham away, but that's not a great fixture anyway. So I'd be seriously okay with dropping Richarlison for a guaranteed start. That is anyway. Would you get Malacia over Dunk or Ake long term? Probably, yeah, over Ake. I think think long-term Ake just doesn't play like consistently. So I'd probably go for Malacia, long-term. Backline is James, Llorente, Perisic, and Holgate. What do you think about bringing Davinson Sanchez? Yeah, Davinson Sanchez is a good pick for that backline, definitely. Probably Holgate, I would say, is the one to drop. What should I do with cash? Oh, what a question that is. It completely depends on your team. I wouldn't be in a rush to get rid of him, but then I also think that if you need an improvement for a certain week, you shouldn't be afraid to drop him. But I wouldn't be desperate to drop him. If you're going to bench him anyway, I'd bench him. What about Damari Gray off the waivers? Damari Gray, he just strikes me as like all fart and no poo. Damari Gray. Like, looks good, doesn't get the end product. I know he had a spell last year where he was really good, but that was a long time ago now. I just don't think he's going to get that many returns. He looks really good. He passes the eye test, but he never really performs. Tony or Vardy? I'd say Tony all the way. When will Isaac be put in the game? That's a good question. I don't know. When has he officially, like, not just Fabrizio officially, but like, has he officially been announced by the club? Because they never put them on until that's happened. Let me go on the Newcastle Twitter feed. I don't see an official announcement yet. No. So it won't be until that's done. Which I guess will probably be tomorrow. I don't think Isaac will be ready for this week's waivers. I'll put it that way. Thoughts on Guedes? I like Guedes. I like him a lot. I think he's a good asset. But Wolves are just a bit of an enigma. And I'm going to play him this week at home to Newcastle and hope he does well. But I'm not expecting massive returns. Thanks for looking on over and joining the streams and pods. You are very welcome, sir. You are very welcome. And anyone that's in the chat at the moment, if you enjoy this this kind of back and forth chat, there's always the option of joining the Discord. This is basically what we do all day in the Discord, back and forth, picking each other's brains, bit of discussion. It's a bit more like, obviously the YouTube comments can be quite one-sided. Like, the YouTube comments are a pain in the arse, basically. Like, it's just you ask a question, you answer. You can't really have a conversation like you can in Discord. Link down below. Meslier or Raya for goalie? What do you think about bringing Anderson over Benrahma? That's tough. I like Raya. I think Raya is probably one of the best, like, non-big keepers in the game. He's good for save points, good for bonus. I think he's very good. Should I train Haaland and Dennis for Jesus and Tony? I think yes. Haaland to Jesus is a slight downgrade, but Haaland's minutes are going to be seriously managed. I think this is a really good trade, actually. I would do this. I would definitely do this. You're gonna, like, Haaland is gonna haul, and you're gonna feel sick when he does. But Jesus will play every single minute, near enough. Tony will as well. Dennis is just an enigma. I wouldn't really be interested. Like, I'd be more than happy to drop him anyway. Haaland is obviously great, but his minutes are going to be seriously managed, and it's going to be so frustrating. I think Jesus and Tony is a great. I think that's an upgrade, a serious upgrade. I would do that in a heartbeat. Fofana or Botman or any United defender? Probably Botman. Thoughts on Tierney starting anytime soon? I don't think we're going to change anything until we need to. That's my kind of opinion on Arsenal. It's the same with Smith Rowe, Tierney, Tomiyasu, Fabio Vieira. I'd kind of answer all of them in exactly the same way. I don't think we're going to change anything until we have to. Either that's a bad performance or an injury, or a fixture pile-up. I don't think anything changes. There's a chance, I guess, that we play midweek, game week 5, Villa at home's midweek. You could expect maybe Smith Rowe to start that, maybe in place of Martinelli. Or you could see Tierney come in for Xhaka and Zinchenko go to midfield, maybe. But The Discord is £3 a month via Patreon. I have Richarlison, Tony, Jota. Time to get Isaac when he's available. Yeah, it may well be. It may well be. Richarlison, would be more than happy to drop. I think Isaac is a better pick than Richarlison. Like straight up, better pick. Richarlison, even when he plays, isn't that prolific. Gets booked constantly. Not interested. Is there any chance they introduce Isaac when you can freely transfer players in? I don't think so. He'll be locked. He'll be locked. I'm pretty sure. Is Wilson going to be bad when Isaac gets it? I don't think bad. I think he'll still be first choice. I mean, it depends how well Isaac does while Wilson's injured. That makes a big difference. I could see a world where Isaac plays on the right and Wilson plays through the middle and Almiron loses his spot. But that's a long way away. Wilson's obviously going to be out for a little while, so I don't think you really need to worry about it. I would hold Wilson if I had him, and I could hold him. Top 5 attackers, I would say Salah number 1, KDB number 2, Kane number 3, Jesus number 4. Who am I missing? Haaland number 5. Or maybe Haaland then Jesus. Maybe. Raya, James Saliba, Llorente, Perisic, Luis Diaz, Odegaard, Benrahma, Nketiah, Antonio, Adams. Thoughts? Overall, I think this team is pretty good. I like the midfield. What's your bench? Should I drop Odegaard for Foden? I would drop Benrahma for Foden, if that's an option. Oh, swap. Sorry. I guess you mean trade. Yeah, I'd take Foden over Odegaard. Should I look to trade Luis Diaz with Jota coming back? Maybe. I've just traded Luis Diaz, actually, in a league. A couple of hours ago, I traded Luis Diaz and Bamford for Martial and Saka. About 2 hours, just before the stream, actually. Because, with Jota coming back, Champions League, Luis Diaz hasn't exactly been lighting it up yet. I think now is probably a decent time to trade, to be honest. As long as you get a good offer. Like, obviously, it's always dependent on what offer you get. Wilson timeline, we're looking at 3 to 4 weeks, which is actually quite a few game weeks. That's like minimum 6 game weeks, I think. So, hang on. When is game week? Let me just check this. So, 6 game weeks. Let's say he misses. What date it was? So we're on the 25th of August now. So let's say it's a month. A month takes him up to the end of game week 8. And that's 5 game weeks. It's the end of game week 8. Then it's an international break. So you think he probably comes back game week 9 if we can trust that timeline. Darwin is going to be back next. How many games does he miss now? Is it just one? It's just one, isn't it? So he's going to be back game week 6. So you've got two weeks to struggle with both. That's unlucky. But the thing is, right, this is why at the start of the season, I never really ranked Wilson as high as his potential because he gets these injuries, and that's why and no matter how good he is, I'm never too overly keen to rush to get him in because one of these muscle injuries is always around the corner. Should I pick up Botman if I already have Trippier? Also, do any of the Leeds defenders look appealing to you? I wouldn't say don't pick up Botman if you have Trippier. I wouldn't go that far, but I would look at. So let's okay, hang on. In standby. So looking at that, right? Let's take a bit of a deeper dive into this. Let's go into this. Right. So this are the fixtures. So let's say you pick up Botman and you have Trippier. that means you got Wolves away this week. Okay, that's fine. You can play them both if you want to, or you can bench one if you have another good pickup. Then you have Liverpool away, so you kind of have to bench both of them, or you want to bench both of them. That means you need to play all 3 of your other defenders. Now, do you have 3 good fixtures in game week 5? If you do, then great. If you don't, then you think, okay, well, I have to drop either Botman or one of these 3. Do you want to do that? If you can get away with that, then it's Palace at home, that's fine. West Ham away is kind of okay. Bournemouth at home is good. Fulham away is fine. So it's really just game week 5. You need to look at the fixtures of your other players and figure out if you want both. That would be my advice on that. Who should I trade Luis Diaz away when my midfield is Mount, Saka, Mahrez, Harrison and Luis Diaz? I mean, that is a good midfield. Like, I think for Diaz, I would be looking at getting in. If you're looking at a straight swap, I mean, that midfield is really strong. I would potentially try and get a forward in like a double swap. I would potentially try and get maybe someone like, I mean, if you have a decent forward to offer, maybe someone like Jesus, like Luis Diaz and Tony for Jesus and someone maybe, because the midfield is good. So I'd go for a double swap, or even like a Trent or someone like that maybe. Mahrez, what do I think? Is annoying, but he is who we thought he is. Like, Mahrez does this every single year. He will. I think Mahrez you hold. Like, I wouldn't consider keeping. I wouldn't consider dropping him. I just don't think. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. Like, Mahrez is the kind of pick that will frustrate you for a month, but if you drop him and then he bangs for a month, you will really kick yourself. So you have to be prepared to take the blanks with the big hauls, because he will get hauls. So I would keep. Yeah, I mean, Mahrez is the talk of the chat. And I had him last year, and I did the stupid thing. Last year I traded him. He didn't play like 4 weeks in a row. I was really frustrated. I was annoyed with him, so I traded him. I can't even remember who I traded him for. Sancho maybe, or JWP, something like that. And it didn't hurt me too badly, but he went on a run of doing really well. And I missed out on all those points because I was frustrated, even though if he's getting a 0, you're getting someone off the bench. So as long as your bench is okay, like, I don't think it's that bad, really. Yeah, so that's that, really. I think, boys and girls, I'm going to call it a night there. We're just under the 2-hour mark, which is not a bad. Smith Rowe for Aronson or hold Smith Rowe? I would get Aronson in, personally. That was the last question. I am going to call it a night there. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, obviously. Check out the link below if you're interested in the Patreon. If you're not, then don't worry about it. Follow me on Twitter. Yeah, that's about it. The next thing I'll be doing is I'm gonna do some kind of video on Monday. I'm not really sure yet. It might be an under the radar. I might have a look at some fixtures actually and do a little maybe like 5-6 fixture run video on Monday. I'm not sure. If you have any ideas of a video you want me to see me do on Monday morning after the games, then hit me up. DM me on Twitter or YouTube or wherever. So yeah, thanks you all for watching. Thank you for joining in with the stream. Thank you for asking the questions, commenting, everything, and we will see you next time.